Hello and welcome to Terraria Item Versus! This video is something I've wondered since they actually added the Finch staff to the game, so about 3 years now I've been wondering about this. So these are the first two summon items that you get in the game. You either can get really lucky, because this is one of the rarest drops in the game, Mythical Slime Staff, because Mythical is the best. Well, I just sat here for like a good 2 minutes watching them kill slimes over and over, and that doesn't appear like the crit chance actually does anything, which is weird. Or maybe they're just really unlucky. So something I didn't really talk about in the last summon video that I did, the Hornet Staff versus the Imp Staff, is the mobility of the minion matters a good bit. If the minion shoots a projectile, the minions that shoot projectiles seem like for the most part that they're better. They kind of like fly around you, and so they're able to be a good artillery cannon to keep you safe. Well, these summons will do damage with their bodies. They don't have an active hitbox, but when there's an enemy, they do. So that's how I was able to test the damage. Like, once I summon this enemy, then they do damage to the dummies. Really sucks that Relogic are not having most effects work on dummies now. When they were added to the game, they made it so that stuff like Cursed Flames or On Fire and stuff like that was already in the game affects them. But now that they have new debuffs in the game, like the Blood Butcher effect, it actually doesn't even take effect on these dummies. I didn't even know there was a Blood Butcher effect in the first place because of this, because they forgot to make it so that dummies could be affected by the Blood Butcher. I actually have no idea how much damage it does. I'm too lazy to check. I'm not here to spread gospel, I'm here to test items for fun. So if the Blood Butcher is off by like 10, oh well. Anyway, back to the topic of summon positions as well as mobility. So for the Imp Staff and the Hornet Staff, it didn't matter quite as much, but for these two, it matters greatly because they do damage by tackling their opponent. So if they can't reach their opponent, or reach you quickly, they are not going to be as good. Because the whole point of summoning items is they're good bodyguards as well as your main source of DPS if you're actually playing the summoner class, which I have never done. I probably should do that. All I've ever done is play melee in this game. I need to figure out how arrows work, and summons and mage items all work, really, from the perspective of those classes, because I've never played them, so I have no perspective. But anyway, the slime kind of sucks. Follows behind you on the ground. If there's an enemy in the air, he doesn't have a real way to get to them other than like his little hops. If you try to escape, he can fly, but like only when you like are trying to escape from him. He has a very hard time moving around other than by doing that, and it's very conditional, only when you're escaping and he wants to not be abandoned. The Finch, however, can fly. It doesn't really care. I mean, there's no enemies up here for me to show you, but like, trust me, he can fly. You can see that his like attack is, it's slightly less consistent against grounded enemies, but in the air, he'll actually hit the enemy instead of the slime, which will not. So Finch Staff, slight mobility advantage. And here we get to the part of the video, which is kind of strange. The Slime Staff is winning in literally every category except for knockback. The Finch Staff has twice the knockback of the Slime Staff. Slime Staff's base damage is 1 higher with Mythical. Damage spread is 1 higher. DPS against one target is 12 to 14 higher. And since both minions are extremely small, they're not going to hit more than one target at the same time in most situations. So their tests are all the exact same. Average DPS, the only number that matters. We got 45 to 32. Knockback as mentioned, Finch Staff is better, no crit chance no matter what you do apparently. Use time, this is the actual summoning of the minion itself. Finch Staff is a good bit slower. And then the actual attack speed of the minion itself, took this from the Mappy video because he already tested it, so I don't need to waste my time. Slime Staff will hit 5 times per second, while the Finch will hit 4 times per second. I'll talk about this in a second, but that's actually not a good thing. It's a very bad thing. Mana cost, both cost 10. Rarity, light red is better than blue. Sell price, twice as valuable. And then you go to the tier list, and Slime Staff is D+, and it's the only balanced summon item with a no multiplier. What is going on? Well, the thing that makes summons so good and breaks the game is the fact that you can use them alongside other classes to just do free damage and the enemy can't do anything about it, because summons can't take damage. However, the Slime Staff, since it hits 5 times per second, it's gonna take so many of the enemy's iframes that you're not gonna be able to do anything. You're gonna be swinging your fucking Terrorblade at it, and it's not gonna be like doing any damage because the enemy's invincibility frames are gonna be all taken up by this Slime Staff, which is gonna do most likely like 1 damage, because most enemies have more than 8 or 9 defense. Unless you're attacking like a blue slime. The Ichor effect can help you a little bit, but like, I don't know why you're trying to buff up the Slime Staff with an Ichor effect. Try to buff up a weapon that actually does something. So not only does this make the Slime Staff kind of bad, I don't like using it. See, it's the first D item on the channel. Its lack of mobility also comes into account here. Finch Staff, it's a B item. I mean, sometimes it'll spin around the enemy and it won't hit them, but like, for the most part, it's still free damage. It's just, it's one of the first summon items you get in the game, if not the first, so of course it's not going to be as good. And this is interesting, the Finch Staff and the Slime Staff actually outdamage the Hornet Staff. Finch Staff is actually slightly lower, but only slightly, which is surprising. So the Finch Staff gets the 10 times times multiplier and effectively has 320 average DPS. Slime Staff, since it takes up all the enemy's invincibility frames and has terrible mobility, it does not get the multiplier, so it stays at 45. This is the worst item we've tested so far. Well, at least the worst weapon. And if my letter grades actually meant anything, it would be the worst item. D+. The Slime Staff is actually the rarest item we've covered so far on the channel. In Expert mode, the chances are a little bit better. It's like 1 in 7,000 or something from most slimes, 1 in 100 or 1 in 70 or something from Pinky. Finch Staff you just start with in Journey mode, or you can find it in trees. It's much more reliable, or much more likely, I guess, that you'll get the Finch Staff than the Slime Staff. And then once you have it, it's gonna be better. Most of the time. Slime Staff, ID number 1309. Bam. Finch Staff, ID number 4281. Bam. 11th place and 17th place overall. So there's your answer. The Slime Staff does more damage, but it's worse. If you're actually playing a Summoner playthrough, the Slime Staff is definitely the better choice. Unless a Demon Eye or Harpy is coming for you, then you're kind of fucked. But for everybody else not playing a Summoner playthrough, the Finch Staff is better. I don't know if anybody in the comments, do you actually play Summoner? I've never played it. Is it worth doing? And that is the end of the video. So if you have any other suggestions for items that you're genuinely curious about, leave them in the comments and I'll do them. Subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, Wulfrum. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.